Hello, everybody. Welcome back to You Are Good Enough. This is your host, Kimberly Bell, Transformational Relationship Coach. Today, we're talking about acceptance. What pain are you carrying about your parents? And this is an important place for us to look at, especially if we're unhappy today in our lives. If we feel stuck in our life, if we suffer from depression, if we suffer from a lot of anxiety, even if we look back and we say, gosh, I've been a really anxious kid all my life. The past gives us clues. And my experience is if we don't, what I'll call heal the past, it can present itself today. It can present itself. So let's just look at it like this. So if something happens between myself and my parent, let's say I have a small trauma, it kind of makes for like a little speed bump or a road bump on my life's path. And because we have not been accustomed in our world and society to look back, to honor and acknowledge ourselves, our feelings, and what has happened in a healthy kind of way, we end up trying to bypass the uncomfortablenesses in our world. And so that's what we're dealing with today. Well, this is no longer going to be in fashion, if you will. What is going to be in fashion is living in a free life, experiencing freedom and manifesting and creating. But one place that we need to go before we can actually see the results, see the gains, feel good and feel free in our lives is kind of turning around and looking back at those places that we feel like we got traumatized or we got our feelings hurt or whatever it is. We might just feel like we don't have a great relationship with somebody. And today we're talking about parents. So when it comes to healing, though, I do want to be clear about one thing, and that is I don't feel like we need to stay in the painful spots in our past forever. I feel as though, in my experiences, just by acknowledging them and allowing ourselves to experience the sadness that's related to it, allow ourselves to use that opening, our throat chakra, to express how we feel, how it made us feel, like all those different types of things. We bring in the heart because the heart is where the wounds often lie. It can be as simple as looking at something and making that realization that that's a big reason why I don't feel comfortable in my life around, people like that or whatever the story is. So we can connect the dots. When we give these wounds just a little bit of space, they heal. And then we can move forward, okay? So in your own life, think about that. For years, I was avoiding all feeling. I just thought that I could keep going. And I was just going to, keep reinventing new. Let's bring in new, let's bring in new. And then it kind of became like a life pipe, a clog, a gigantic clog in a pipe when I got into when I hit my early 40s. So I thought I could keep moving forward, but I got news for you. If you're not happy right now, then you might find the same thing that I found for me in my life. Let's talk about parents today, because growing up, I got hurt a lot, and you listening to this probably have been hurt a lot by your parents as well. And for years, I used that as like a badge of courage. I used it to make myself feel more powerful because I didn't feel that important as an individual. And people who had heard about my past, they felt sorry for me, and I got attention that way, and it felt good. But now I realize that just keeps me stuck in the past, and that just keeps me stuck in my sadness. That just keeps me stuck. So now that I realize that, and I've looked at my speed bumps, and I look at my, the roadblocks, and I can allow myself to move forward and not carry these things around with me. Parents are certainly a place where we can get deeply wounded. And often my clients do not even realize how much our parents affect us. But if you think about your life, it doesn't take much to be affected by a parent. All they have to do sometimes is look at us. All they have to do is say something, and we feel shameful, and we feel embarrassed, and we feel stupid, right? Depending on how much of a healthy person our parent is. And I do feel for the majority of people who are listening to this podcast, you've probably experienced a lot of pain from, if it wasn't your parents, your family members. So I do find that with clients, the biggest challenge they face is wishing their parent could be different, wishing their parent would show up, at Thanksgiving dinner or, some family holiday. They would wish to be treated differently for the first time, or they would be acknowledged in a way that they've been hoping their parent would acknowledge them for all these years. Offer respect or appreciation, or just feeling like their parent might care. And that energy of us wanting the parent to be different than they're actually being is the very energy that won't allow the parent to be different. I'm going to explain because it sounds a little complicated. When we have a certain vibration in our field and we have a certain energy, and let's use anger. Let's say I'm angry at my parents and I have to go to dinner to be with them. And all I've ever wanted from them is them to respect me or acknowledge me. Maybe something happened in my past and I'm still looking to feel validated from them. So here I am getting ready, and once again, I hope tonight's the night or today's the day when I finally get acknowledged and appreciated and valued from my parents. That energy that's in my field, and I'm totally vibrating that, I go and I meet with them, and our energy fields can feel each other. And so that energy is lack energy. That energy is kind of looking for trouble, that type of energy. So when I go into the situation, automatically, I'm not going to get what I want because it's energy. So if I can, and I'm calling this, acceptance, because if I can start to learn how to accept my parents, the way that they are, that they're probably not going to change, right? And if they do, great, it's icing on my cake. But if I can find that place, I don't have to like it, but the acceptance part is huge, because that acceptance, when we're able to accept our parents and their flaws, because they are human, let's not forget that. They also had childhoods, let's not forget that. I want to point out that your parents also have the speed bumps, also have the roadblocks, and it really and truly wasn't kosher during that time to start hashing through all this stuff. You were looked at as being very weak if you went to therapy back then, right? Something was wrong with you. But what we really know now is that the people who have a lot of things wrong with them are people who haven't spoken, people who haven't taken the time, in most cases, to really acknowledge and learn how to love themselves. So if I'm able to accept my parents, what has happened, what went down, I can go into that situation and I'm all of a sudden not wanting something from them. If I'm able to accept, right? You can feel that. Acceptance is a very different energy than wanting something from somebody. Wanting something from someone is lack energy. It's fear-based energy. And any time, remember, because the universe has to deliver, has to match whatever you're putting out. So if my energy is going to dinner, hoping to get something from them again and getting annoyed halfway through the meal because I haven't heard anything, then I'm just going to keep becoming more and more disappointed because I don't realize it, perhaps, right? You might not realize this is all energy, but if I can shift my energy, even in that dinner, it'll feel better by the time I go. But this takes a little bit of practice, I will say. So when it comes to our parents, it's really helpful if we can not only accept it, right, but we can also not get pulled in. And that is in the same, it's in alignment with acceptance, right? Not getting pulled in if there's a certain thing that we argue about all the time, not getting pulled into thinking they have a big ego, or whatever it is, not getting pulled in, okay? So accepting, not getting pulled in. And also I want to point out that oftentimes we wish that things could have been different, right, in our past. Let's say some sad situation happened and we really wish that our parent would have handled it differently. I have a lot of memories from childhood. Believe it or not, I have memories of me being in my own crib, which is, after talking to other people, I know that it's hard to believe. I still can feel some of the emotions that I felt as, I guess I was a baby, right? I can still feel the pain of what was going on maybe in the other room, and how that kind of stuff made me feel. Now, I used to be really angry at both my parents, and I used to resent, I guess I would say, in ways, until I was able to realize that they were doing the best that they were able to do. When people don't learn that they can heal, right? When people don't realize they have a choice in how they feel, they can heal, they can move through things in life, they're very stuck, and the wounds just feel overwhelming. So I will say that I can look back now, at those moments when I was quite small, and I can still feel the emotions, but it's not as strong. Like there was like hate in some of the emotions. And I wanted to make my doll feel, this is revealing, I wanted to pull the head off my doll and make her feel the same kind of pain that I was feeling in the moment. And I realize as I've gone through my life, there are some adults that still carry that depth of sadness and hate and anger inside of them, and oftentimes their parents themselves. And I know that I wasn't able to be a parent when I was that deeply wounded. And so you can imagine that if a parent is that deeply wounded and they haven't learned that they can love themselves and heal themselves, then they may end up being a really unhealthy parent for another person. So you can see how this can manifest itself going forward. And this is why we have generations and generations of suppressed, sad, angry people. And we're on a planet right now and we're seeing all kinds of stuff happen. So one of the reasons I'm doing this podcast is to help you understand that just by accepting the pains of the past with our parents, it really can be enough to help us be able to heal, move forward. And that is a huge act of self-love, being able to love ourselves no matter what has happened to us. Okay, and I don't care what's happened to you. You are, in my opinion, able to heal from it. And we have nothing to feel bad about. Every single person on this planet is carrying all kinds of wounds, all kinds of things. And I feel like it's a time now to step forward and let go of shame. If you feel shame about things that happened to you in your past, that you realize you don't want to carry around anymore. And if you don't want to carry it around, you can put it down and you can heal and you can you can actually feel and experience freedom and love with yourself and love with other people. And you can actually have a different type of relationship with your past and, have deep compassion for yourself for what you have gone through, okay? However, you can offer yourself deep compassion. Try not to get stuck in the victimhood, right? Being a victim of circumstances, like myself, for a long time. Because that keeps you stuck in your life today. That keeps you angry at everybody else in your life today. But when we can have compassion for ourselves and get motivated into learning how to love ourselves, to heal ourselves, we can have amazing relationships with everybody else in our life. And I offer that to you because you can actually have a much more fulfilling, loving relationship with your parents, I feel. And, this is my experience, and I'm offering it to you, and I do work with people, and that experience as well supports the podcast and the video that I bring you today. So let's try, if this calls to you, if this resonates with you, let's try to allow to let people be who they are. And if we get triggered and we get angry, let's ask ourselves, what is it that we need to do to feel better? And 90% of the time, it's look at something that will help us on our healing journey. So I would like to offer that you came here, I believe, to love yourself more than anybody else can. And this is part of that loving act for yourself. So I'm going to leave it here. Love to you all. Deep healing, and I look forward to talking with you soon. Check me out on YouTube, my podcast, You Are Good Enough. Check out my website. If you want to work with me, I'm all ready. All right, talk to you soon. Take care. Have a great week. Thanks so much.